We are so close to the Nintendo Switch 2 getting revealed at the April 2nd presentation. Every single thing about that console, all of its games, all of its features, everything, even when it's going to release. And that is the main topic of today's video. When is this console going to come out into all of our hands? And I think I know just when that is going to be. And spoiler alert, it will not be in the month of May, like Nintendo Twitter has been clamoring for. So let's jump into all of the reasons I believe this console will not be releasing in the month of May. Starting off, I think it is just ridiculous for us to expect an April 2nd presentation and then all of a sudden for them to turn around and say, in less than a month, you will have it in your hands. That just doesn't make sense to me personally. I think they're going to want to give every single feature of this console a chance to be marketed, and the console at large just to be marketed with the games. I think Mario Kart will probably be the game that they launch this console with. But if they don't, if they include another first-party game, if it also launches with Metroid Prime 4 or something crazy like that, they're going to want to give us more time to process and get hyped for these individual games. And of course, just the marketing cycle has to go through its fullness of cycle before it comes out. You can't just say, okay, Mario Kart, we saw literally 5 seconds of it in the reveal trailer, and then now you only get half a month or a month to process that information before it hits the shelves. Mario Kart needs to have a little bit of time to get the masses invested in this console and in this game. Because that's the thing, right? If you are listening to this video, there is a very, very high percentage of a chance here that you are an extremely big Nintendo fan, and I am as well. And we're all going to be really in the weeds here. But for the vast majority of people who will end up buying this console, and for the vast majority of people who bought the Switch, they want more time to process this information. They want more time to even know that it exists. Because we will all be there at April 2nd. We will all be there to listen and watch and absorb and just be ready for it the next day. Heck, even be ready for it right after the presentation's over. I will be so ready to play it the second this presentation ends. But we need more time for the masses. You have to give that marketing department extra time. And it's just unprecedented, in my opinion, for it to be an April 2nd reveal blowout, and then for just a month later, the console to actually come out. It just doesn't seem right to me in the grand scheme of things. You have to give us a little bit of time when we don't know exactly what we're getting into. I've seen people compare it to Apple in their iPhones, how they pretty much just show off all those new features almost weeks, just a couple weeks in advance before they release. But that's because everyone knows what an iPhone is and everyone knows what they're getting into. It's going to be a little bit better. You're going to get a better camera. There's going to be some interesting new features, maybe, if that. But the masses are only going to get it because they need an upgrade, or they just want their phones to stop having bad battery life, so they get a new iPhone, and they're not going to be using all of these high-end features that most people that are in the weeds are going to know about. So they release it quickly because they know the general masses are going to buy it regardless. But for the Switch 2, it needs a little bit of time for people to understand who aren't in the Nintendo community. They need time to understand what this thing is and what is the reason to buy it. Why can't I just keep my own old Switch? Why would I want to buy a Switch 2? All of the stuff in this presentation needs time, more than just a month, to actually resonate with people and to get people hyped. The second reason I think the Nintendo Switch 2 will not be launching in May, especially May 15th, which is the date has been thrown around a lot lately, is because May 15th is the day that the San Francisco, California Nintendo store opens. The second US store ever is going to be opening on May 15th, and you are trying to tell me that they're going to open that store and have all of those poor employees deal with the insanity of a launch? A console launch? Are you kidding me? They need more time to figure out what the heck they're even doing, what the store layout even is, before they can deal with the hundreds of millions of people that are going to want to buy a console. And maybe that's exaggerating it a little bit, not hundreds of millions of people, but a lot of people are going to want to be in these stores, and these poor employees need at least a month's time to figure out what they're doing. I just can't see in any capacity Nintendo doing that to this poor store. They would not ever want to do this. It just doesn't make sense logistically or for any of these businesses in the world to launch their brand new hyped console, the successor to the Nintendo Switch, which will end up likely being at least the second highest selling video game console ever. They cannot expect the hype to follow the Switch 2 to be contained in a newly opened store. It just doesn't make any sense. these employees are going to need more time, the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to need more time to actually get into our heads, and the next reason I have as to why the Switch 2 will not be launching in May specifically has to do with the Nintendo Switch 2 hands-on events that were announced at the very end of the Switch 2 reveal trailer. It's kind of gone under the radar for a lot of people, especially after the lottery ticket of just trying to get a spot in that went out and just went dead silence after that. Most people didn't get a ticket into these events, and so if you didn't, then you probably forgot they even existed a day after the reveal happened and all of this information came out to begin with. But don't worry, dear friend, I have been paying attention to all of this in the background and watching on Twitter and just everywhere else, people being crazy about May 15th and May in general. Y'all, let's calm down for a second, because a lot of these events are in early April, right after the April 2nd event. There's a lot in early April, such as 4th through the 6th, the 11th through the 13th, and even into late April, the 25th through the 27th, and in mid-April, it's just all throughout April. And then in May, early May, the first couple weeks, May 9th through the 11th, the 10th through the 11th, but then even into late May, May 31st to June 1st for CL Asia. Do you really think they would have a Nintendo Switch 2 hands-on event, which the whole purpose of this is to, hey, get the idea of the new console into your head before you buy it, make you want it before you buy it? Why would they ever release the console before these events were completely and totally done with? It doesn't make any sense. Now, an argument could be made that since there's only one event that is this late into May, they're just going to roll it out and then have that be some sort of a weird advertisement. You can walk into the Nintendo store and say, hey, I don't want a Switch 2, maybe I can't afford it, but I want to do the hands-on experience. But that doesn't make any sense either, because you have to get a ticket to get into these events, right? Most people have already tried to get into these events from the moment that they were announced. So if you had to do that so early on, before you even knew when the console would come out, why in the world would they make it to where, all right, you were hyped to play it before you actually got your hands on it, so then you got to go to the event, but then you found out there was no need to go to the event because the console drops before the event starts? It doesn't make any sense, and that is the theme with the month of May. It doesn't make any sense. And adding to that pie of not making any sense, the next reason Nintendo will not launch this console in May is because that is when their next financial report will be. They will not want to launch it right before the financial report like they did with the Nintendo Switch, because at the time they wanted to do it right before the financial report because they wanted to say, hey, they knew all of the initial fans would come out and buy the Switch console. They knew at least the first couple weeks of sales were going to be amazing, so they wanted to be able to present that to their financial investors and say, look, we're out of the dumps. The Wii U is not our legacy moving forward. The Switch will revive this entire generation, and little did we know that would be the case. But if it ended up being a flop, Nintendo wanted to at least present to their investors the core Nintendo fan sales that came with the Nintendo Switch console. But now they're pretty confident. In fact, I'm sure they're almost 100% sure that the Switch 2 will be one of their biggest, if not their biggest launch of all time, including every other video game console history, as some analysts have said. But specifically for Nintendo, I think they're going to find this is their highest selling console in its initial sales. So what they're going to want to do is garner as much of that information and data as possible and show it off at the next financial report to say, hey, we are here with all of these crazy big numbers that they couldn't have gotten from just the first week or two from its initial release. I try to think about the financial side and the company side of the company Nintendo, because I know a lot of us can get a little bit too far down the rabbit hole of just thinking it's a video game place, right? It's not they're just friends and we see them in their directs and it's cool. This is a business, and I try to think it from that standpoint as well. And lastly, one of my favorite reasons as to why I do not think the Nintendo Switch will launch in May is I think they're looking at the early summer window as a viable option. If you want to launch this in the summer and not the late spring, which would pretty much be May, if you want to launch it in the summer, you're going to want to get all of those kids involved as well. So I'm sure the marketing departments across the United States and other countries are saying, this is when summer break is, this is when the kids are going to be bugging the crap out of their parents every single day because they'll be home every day and be thinking about the Switch 2, getting hyped up, not thinking of anything else other than that, just hyper focusing on a new console, and they will bug the crap out of their parents, and that's going to make them want to buy it even more. But even further down down that summer rabbit hole of why I think June is a better month than May is because if you think about it, the holiday sales are what garner all sorts of support for your console. People go out during Black Friday, they go out during Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays, all of that junk, and they go out and they buy stuff. And when they do, that is where all of the holiday memories are made. That is the nostalgia that Nintendo is looking for. That is what every company really, really wants, is a launch during that time period. But in recent years, we've seen consoles not necessarily be launched in that time frame, and they see them launched a little bit earlier in the year. The Nintendo Switch is a perfect example of this. It launched on March 3rd, 2017, not even close to the holiday window, and yet it is still the third highest selling console of all time at the time of this recording. And so I think they're really trying to get it closer to that date without it being on that date. They want the initial sales to look amazing because people are going to be hyped, the fan base is going to come out, the people who have been waiting forever for an updated Switch model are going to come out, they're going to buy the Switch 2, and then as soon as that initial hype for like the first couple months of this console's lifespan dies down, all of a sudden it's the holiday sales time and the people are coming out of the woodworks. The kids are coming out with their parents, they're buying it, everyone's going to the stores for the holiday deals, and they'll buy the brand new Nintendo console. So Nintendo can't help but see this as a win here. If they launch it in June or July, they're going to get that initial hype, the first couple months are going to be great. Then as soon as people even think about the idea of settling down on this console, probably people are going to be talking about stock issues and if it's in stock and if you can even get it. They are going to go bananas for the holiday release. All of those people are going to go out and those numbers are going to go even higher because for every electronic company and most companies in general, the holiday period is when you sell your most stock. So they're going to get all of those initial sales. It's going to look great. And then those numbers will probably double for the holiday window. And then it's the new year and you're giving your financial investors all of these amazing, incredibly large numbers that just keep people investing in Nintendo. It all works perfectly, and a May launch just doesn't seem to fit that bill. It's a little too early for my liking and what I think is Nintendo's liking, away from that holiday window that they want to take so much advantage of. Another thing about it launching in May is that I think they're going to try to get a lot of shipment in to get all of these consoles on store shelves the second this baby launches. They don't want another Wii. They don't want another Switch. We want to be able to go to the stores and just buy the dang thing. At this point, Nintendo realizes there is absolutely no point whatsoever to artificially making this console scarce because people are invested. They are hyped. Nintendo has never been in a better spot ever in their entire company's history. They have no reason to make people want to buy it and go on the hunt to find it. All they need to do is make sure the stock is there. And that is why so many people, including myself, think that 2024 was the initial year for its launch, but they decided to just wait, let some of the games simmer, let all the bugs get out in that, they can work on the games, but also for the stock. They want to increase and develop as many of these suckers as they can and get them ready for release. There was a report or rumor or whatever you want to call it within the past week or so talking about as many Switch consoles that have been shipped over to North America. It was somewhere around a couple 100,000 or something like that, and people were like, weird. That's so odd that they're only shipping that little of an amount when they already know that people are going to want to go out and buy more, especially considering the North American audience is one of the largest audiences, and that is where they're going to get most of their sales from. But I think this is them testing the waters here. They're trying to figure out how they want to ship these consoles, what it's going to look like when they try to get even more out to all these different companies. They're just testing out whatever the heck they need to do to get these things in store shelves before they send out massive amounts of them to every single location across the globe. So those are my reasons as to why the Nintendo Switch 2 will not be launching in May. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Do you agree with me that it will likely be a mid to late June release? Or are you thinking even later? Do you think July? Maybe even close to the holiday window like I was talking about? Do you think we're going to be waiting a long time? Let me know all of that and more down in the comments below. I would love to have a discussion with you guys all about this. I am getting a little stir crazy myself. The hype levels are going a lot higher than I would really want for it at this time. We're not even, we're close, but we're not that close for me to get this hyped. So I just wanted to push this video out as fast as I could for you guys. Thank you for watching to the very end, and make sure if you're new, you subscribe. If you enjoyed today's content, I will be pumping out so many videos about the Switch 2, especially this summer. I am looking forward to making so much content for you guys, so look forward to that. And like this video if you enjoyed the video, make sure you share with your friends, and click the notification bell to know exactly when all of my videos release. Make sure you click on the left video to see what my predictions are for when every single Nintendo franchise will come to the Switch 2, and click on the right playlist to watch all of my Switch 2 videos. I hope you have yourself a phenomenal day. This has been Ray's Nintendo Talk. I have been Ray, and I will see you all in the next video.